have chosen to test this station's destructive power on your home planet of Alderaan, then name the system Alderaan.
Bulky religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blast like we're coming up on Alderaan.
You may fire when ready.
Welcome to the number one countdown to the Last Jedi podcast in the Oceanas. Today I'm joined by Ciaran once again and also Nicholas for the first time. What's up, Ciaran?
Hey, I've realised now that Ashley's gone, for the Alderaan Explosion podcast, you are Han Solo and I'm Chewbacca. Which means you die.
Okay, I don't know how I feel about this. What is Nick then joining us today for the first time?
Nick's a porg.
Hey, Porg. God. You're very cute. Just make one of those sounds for me. Wait, one of those sounds for me. You
start writing the erotic fan fiction, people, of Dylan and Nick.
I just put you in my pocket.
Just little
so
Porg.
Cute. Just keep you in there. Give you a little bit of food. Oh.
Good episode, guys. See you later.
My little Porg pal.
My little porgpal.org. It's just pictures of me and Nick.
That is probably a website already.
I'm going to Google.
It sounds like a website. While you look that up then, in case you don't know, this is a countdown podcast of The Last Jedi where each week by week we are watching a new Star Wars film in the marathon leading up to The Last Jedi. This week we have watched Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Episode 5, so we'll be talking about that movie in a whole and stuff like that as we've done each week. If you haven't listened to the podcast before, this is a podcast where you should probably just go back and listen to it from Episode 1 as you can get the whole spectrum as we go from the prequels to Episode 7 to get hyped about Episode 8. As we talk about Empire, I will be jumping into a conversation at some point, which I want to talk about this week, is people getting angry about Last Jedi being compared too much to Empire. So I want to talk about that at some point, and then towards the end of the show I also want to talk about Star Wars Battlefront II, the video game that is out, and also a new little Last Jedi TV spot that I've spotted some stuff in that I want to uncover. So before we jump into Empire, do you have any news on this website for me, Ciaran?
It doesn't exist.
Get on that.
So if you want to get onto it, porgpals.com or porg-pals.org, do something, have it as like erotic Dylan and Nick fan fiction, and I will love you for the rest
Or
of
we
it.
could capitalise and make it like one of those virtual
I'll fly you. If somebody makes porgpals.org, I will fly you out to Shepparton, Australia, and I will put you up in a fine establishment for 2 hours.
Will you actually do that?
Yes, if it actually happens.
All right. Where do you go to register domains?
GoDaddy.com. Use the code. Oh, fuck, we don't have the code. Okay, so let's jump into Empire Strikes Back. The movie that is considered by the majority of the Star Wars viewing audience and movie-going audience to be the best of the Star Wars films. And so before we go step by step as we usually do through my notes and work our way through the movie, just grab everyone's initial thoughts on Empire, if it is their favorite of the series, if it isn't, if not, why, stuff like that. So Ciaran.
It is my favorite. And I always love the irony that, you know, the majority of people's favourite Star Wars movie is the movie where everything goes to shit. Where people continue to do things that they were told not to do.
That's what I've heard someone say that's pretty much what Star Wars
Apparently that's what Star Wars is about. It's just people doing what they're told not to do.
Why is it your favourite then?
It's my favourite because it's got the most, I think for me, out of all of them, it has the most world building. It has, like, you know, you get to the good stage that is the characters have already built a relationship. You're not having to, you know, watch them get to know each other. They have back and forth already from the moment the movie starts. Everything's established. You get straight into it. It progresses. It has the coolest twist and the most misquoted line of dialogue in history. It's got everything. It's got, you know, people called Skywalkers actually walking in the sky. It's amazing. It's really great.
Nick.
Dylan.
You've done that thing where you just say my name back when I'm passing the microphone to you, but yeah.
It is my favourite Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Why? Why is it your favourite?
just watching it as a kid, it captured my imagination. That battle on Hoth, the whole Cloud City, the worm in the asteroid, everything like that. It's just, it just captured my imagination. And my favourite faction and character is Darth Vader and the Empire, and it's just where it all comes up for them before it all becomes horribly wrong.
You would be an Empire fan. That makes complete sense.
Well, we've finally got one on the show, I guess. Getting a different perspective on things, as some would say. Okay, so we're gonna work our way through the movie. I have my notes down. If at some point there's someone you think of something you want to talk about, a particular scene for some reason, or something like that, just jump in, interrupt, fit it in between my notes, because I haven't wrote down literally every scene in the movie, just stuff that I know, and that's what we go off. First thing, Wampa scared the living shit out of me as a kid. Absolute crap. However, anytime I watch this movie, since I've been an older teenager to an adult life, I go, that is clearly not real. Like it's just like that is not a real thing. But as a little kid, absolutely scared the living crap out of me.
Question.
It's just one of those things.
Why haven't they done with what they've done with 99% of the old trilogy's practical effects? Why haven't they changed? Like, why haven't they just...
Don't tell them to change that to
Why
CGI.
haven't they just taken it out and put something better in? It's just one of those things. It looks... I would prefer them to change that over half the crap they've changed, because... It just looks like, especially when he cuts the arm off. When he cuts the arm off, it looks like they've thrown a mannequin's arm on the floor and then sprayed tomato sauce around it. Like, that is literally what happens. And it's just...
And it goes plop on the floor.
Yeah, it's like...
It's in sound, and it's in snow. It sounds like it just hit asphalt.
Yeah.
I'm upset that you missed the droid landing on Hoth. I love that droid.
What? Well, you can't be upset. I just said if there's a scene you want to mention, mention it.
But I thought we were going in chronological order. You just skipped
No,
all
we
the way
just
into Wampa.
we just go through my notes,
podcast?
and Jesus Christ, he has listened to this podcast, and he's still like, "What are you doing?
Gosh.
Why do you like? Why is the droid scene so important?
I don't know.
Why
It's not important. I just like it. I like that droid, the design of it.
You just said you love this whole movie, so unless I mention literally every scene, you're probably going to be angry.
Likely.
You just need to be able to tell... Okay, audience listeners, take note. Nick loves this movie, and if you can think of a scene, Nick most likely loves it.
Since you mentioned the changes and stuff like that, I will just jump ahead, because towards the end of the movie, I did write down, I always liked the Empire and the Empire Blu-ray and DVD changes. I don't think there's one thing I don't like.
No, the Empire's fine. It isn't obnoxious, and it isn't like Tatooine levels of crappy CGI.
Yeah, I think most of the stuff everything that they've changed in this is perfectly fine by me, and I think it's actually for the better.
Lawrence Kasdan actually did a good job. I don't have to fix anything here.
No, he still fixed stuff. It's just not.
The big things off the top of my head that are changes for the better are the Emperor being changed to the actual Emperor.
Yep.
And then the number one thing that makes all the difference on Bespin is they changed like majority of the backgrounds behind the windows and made them into actually cities with moving vehicles and stuff like that floating off in the distance. That's all great. And yeah, anytime I watch this movie, I'm like, there's not one thing here that they've made worse or changed for an unnecessary reason. When you look at all these changes, it's like, that makes sense. That was actually a good use of fixing the movie or whatever else you want to call it. So yeah, it's weird how last week when we talked about New Hope, we was like, oh my god, the scene where George Lucas just copy paste spam Control V with all the fucking stormtroopers over the desert there. No, it's terrible. And then for some reason with this one, he was never like, oh, all the in the Battle of Hoth, Control V, like fucking walkers everywhere or something like that. It just never happened. It's just left. It's weird how in his mind, for some reason, I don't know, he must have got out on different sides of the beds or something like that when he was making the changes, because it is like New Hope. He's like new toy, and then when he's doing this one, he's like, can't really be bothered doing much today. I'll just fucking we'll change that. Oh, we'll make that better. Good job, George.
Good job, George.
Clap.
You had a good day
on the Empire changes. one thing I just thought of though. I thought I should mention the opening text also in Empire is the shortest, most to the point, simple scroll text of any of the Star Wars movies, as far as I'm concerned. It's just like rebels on the run, base. Yeah, cool. Luke's here. It's not like it is the most simple. It's like two paragraphs or something. It's just like, Luke's here and he's just, he's leading a bunch of people now. Cool. Cut to movie. Okay, that's the when you look at all the old ones, it's like especially the prequels, the Trade Federation and the taxation of the what the fuck.
It's good. I like that crawl. That crawls.
That's crawl. Empire is also the first time we get Force Ghosts for the first time. They instead of just doing the between New Hope and Empire, it was like, well, because he only hears Ben talk to him in New Hope, and it's not like, they decided when they come around to Empire, they're like, we'll make them physical, well, not physical, but spiritual beings of some sorts like that. And then they also, of course, when we get to Yoda can see him and stuff like that. So they like you were saying before about building the universe more and stuff like that, this is like a big thing that we now know in Star Wars culture, or whatever you want to call it. Mythos is the Force Ghosts, and Empire is the film that introduces it. However, the scene where Luke talks to Ben after after escaping is quite ridiculous, because it is like him just being like, go to the Dagobah system. Dagobah system. You'll speak to Yoda. And then he disappears, and it's Ben.
I don't get why. Is it only like a certain window that Force Ghost can appear? Like, why not come when he's not traumatized and more likely to forget all this?
This is Ben Kenobi. This is not a man who does things the logical way. This is sticking to his character. I would have been like, that's way out of character, him being convenient for once.
Pops up while Luke's having breakfast one morning. What, Luke? Oh, fuck. Do you want some Cheerios? Nah, mate. Like, how about you go down, you got to go to the Dagobah system. Yeah, all right. When should I do that? Oh, after you get attacked by a giant furry beast in the snow. Sounds good.
Also, by the way, Leia's your sister. Don't kiss her.
Yeah. BT dubs.
BT dubs. Don't kiss her. That's
Don't
weird.
kiss her.
Bit like Ben.
Yeah. It's like, fuck. It's funny. That's the scene they should add in episode 6. Is just Ben him walking up next to Luke, just like, don't regret not telling you about Vader being your dad. But probably should have just mentioned that Leia's actually your sister. Fuck, my bad, mate.
Mate,
Sorry.
I'd been on too many Darries the day you walked into my cave.
Why are we're changing all of Star Wars into like Australian fan fiction version of it? Like, make too many Darries. You fucking
Centrelink, we must go.
Oh goodness. I love how in retrospect when we get to the scene of the Rogue 2 looking for Luke's body the next morning, it's like now in retrospective with Rogue One and everything like that, you can just kind of fanfic it to be that after Rogue One, which we know watching that movie is a team that wasn't actually a call sign, they just make it up. But since there's now a team called Rogue 2 in this movie, you can just fanfic it as that's them honoring Rogue One, and they integrated it into being an actual call sign, like that team, because they died and all that sort of stuff. So it's like little details like that it's like, oh, that's cool how that's a thing. And of course they didn't intend this, but it works so well, like especially because this movie was already Rogue 2. It wasn't Rogue One, it was Rogue 2 straight away.
They're all big fans of Anna Paquin.
Is that I don't get that joke.
She played Rey in X-Men.
Oh. Fucking hell. It's terrible.
Both Disney movies.
Scruffy looking nerf herder, one of the best lines in the series, followed by the number one incest kiss of all incest kisses. And we have Game of Thrones now. So nerfs also something we didn't know what the hell they were until like a year ago when they showed them in one of the Star Wars comics.
Really?
It was just one of those lines.
No, I feel like we've known what they are for quite a while.
Well, they might have described, but I don't think we'd actually seen them drawn.
I'm pretty sure
properly.
they're in the Galactic Assault video game.
The Galactic Assault video game.
That game isn't canon anymore, though, so we can't use that as a reference point. Sorry.
Don't tell me about stuff that's not canon. I'll fucking do it.
Exactly.
So when we get to the Hoth battle, now this is going to be an interesting talking point for Nick because I know what he's going to say in a second. I was watching the Hoth battle, and one of the Star Wars books I still haven't read is Twilight Company, and watching the Hoth battle makes me want to read that book. I know Nick hates it, but I know it's not generally hated on by the majority of the internet. Like, it's considered an okay Star Wars book. I've heard people give it like, it's a great Star Wars book. Why do you hate Twilight Company so much?
All the characters are boring and it's written boring as fuck.
That was a very... Well, okay.
Let's be honest. The majority of Star Wars characters aren't great.
Why? Like, I'm watching the battle, and it's because what we know these days is this. What we see in Empire, from like the Battle of Hoth, it's like considered. We now know we're just seeing like a small
fraction of it,
fraction of the actual battle. Like, it's not when Vader's like deploy the army or garrison, whatever the hell he says, deploy the
two
thing.
walkers and half a dozen troopers.
Yeah, it's not a couple walkers and 12 troopers. It is actually like a lot more, and what we're seeing is just a small part of that, which is it's cool to know watching it, I suppose.
But Rey and Darth Maul were running around.
Oh my god,
A-wings and shit.
Oh my
fucking Battlefront references.
Okay, somebody at whatever game studio is going to make a goddamn Star Wars game for Nick. Make like a 1-to-1 like simulation game, like a 1-to-1 perfect, like you are the guy.
Escape from Tarkov with a
why is
Star Wars skin over it.
I quit.
I can't believe you've
done.
mentioned Escape from Tarkov
I'm
in this
done.
podcast.
I can't
Okay.
do this anymore.
Next point. Now I want to talk about will be the Last Jedi. So coming into the Last Jedi, which if we watch the trailers, you see bits and pieces of the battle on Crate, which has these ships flying out. You got these new walkers flying down. It's obviously very reminiscent of the Battle of Hoth. It looks exactly like the Battle of Hoth. Couple changes, different planet, ships are a bit different, walkers look different, but it's obviously inspired by the Battle of Hoth. And there's no way anyone that involved in that movie could argue otherwise. So as that being the leading off point, is anyone here worried about The Last Jedi being too similar to Empire? And after that, did you have issues with The Force Awakens? Are you on the camp of it being too similar to New Hope, blah, 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 blah. So Ciaran, first, do you worry about The Last Jedi being too similar to Empire?
No.
Why?
Because even though beat for beat, New Hope and Force Awakens are very close, I feel like we start this movie in a very different place. Mm-hmm. Like, that we start this movie in a very different place for the characters that we know. We have next to almost no information about what Finn exactly is doing for this entire movie. Like, we've got some, but it's not obvious. Rey's training with Luke. Luke is a very different character to Yoda, so I think that's fine. I think there's this... back when everybody originally watched Empire Strike Back, it was the first time you met Yoda. Everybody's like, oh, who's this cool little green puppet?
What a fucking thief.
Like, yeah, who is this cool little green puppet dude? Now we're going into it going, okay, what's been going on with Luke? What's been going on with Luke? Like, we actually have a relation, like a understanding of Luke. We know his story so far already. This is more about, like, whereas I think the original trilogy was built in such a way that it could have been left as just those three movies, and that's completely fine. Whereas I think Force Awakens kind of needed to be like New Hope to start the boundary off and to start this new trilogy, but I think with Last Jedi they can now go in a different direction and really explore some of the seeds they've laid in Force Awakens.
Yep. Nick?
I'm not worried that it's going to be like it, but I'm worried that people are not going to give it its due if it is too much like it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well,
Be overly critical of it.
yeah.
Which
Yeah,
people
I feel
are already
like,
overly critical of Star Wars anyway.
yeah, that's true. If the only scene in The Last Jedi that is reminiscent, like obviously reminiscent of Empire, is simply the Bell of Crate, if that's it, I guarantee there'll be a bunch of people on the internet still going, well, it ripped off Empire. Like, if that's one scene, like 10% of the movie is reminiscent of Empire, they'll just turn that into, well, the whole movie's shit now. Because...
I hope the Battle of Crate doesn't happen until, like, you know, the second act. I hope it's not a first act thing.
No, I don't think it can be a first act thing, especially if you got to open with Rey and Luke and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think...
Finn gets attacked on his little fucking speeder bike by a giant sand creature, and
There's oh god, there's got to be
Force what is it? Force Han Solo shows up to him to let him go to fucking.
No, I think it's got to be like, I don't see how it could turn into Empire unless the only thing that kind of turns it into Empire is if they use this movie to reveal Rey's parentage. That's the only thing I'd be like, God damn it.
But
Rey,
I think the biggest difference straight away is that when you was watching New Hope, you didn't worry about who Luke's family was.
No.
There was never, he was never like this big mystery and stuff like that. However, from the get-go, one of the new mysteries, and there's a lot of mysteries and stuff like that, questions people want with the new trilogy, but one of the main ones, of course, is who is Rey? Like, where is she? So I think if they revealed her parentage in this film, I don't think they will. I think they'll save that to the last one. But I think even if they did, it's still like, well, it's not the same as unless Kylo Ren's like, I'm your father, and it's like, well, that's fucked up. When did you have me? When you was 5? Like, that'd be, I just don't know. Snoke's like, I'm your father.
I've just thought, do you think it takes away from what Star Wars is when they're going, oh, who could Snoke be? Who could Rey's parents be? And all that. But when you watch the original trilogy back as a kid, when it stood alone, you weren't wondering what those things are. Are they leaning like too much into getting you to anticipate who this is, who that is, what this means, what that means?
It's the way of the world now. Speculation in the forum that is the internet. These kind of questions build up. It's a marketing strategy, really. Like,
yeah, it is. Yeah,
get people
get
people talking about your movie before it, like years before it even comes out. Get talking about the next one. With it for me, I think me personally, the biggest reveal that I want to know is the identity of Snoke, or who Snoke really is, and I don't think there was anything like that except Darth Vader kind of, but there was nothing like the Emperor. I didn't care about in Empire.
I didn't care who Darth Vader was until who he was.
Yeah, that's
I wasn't
true.
going, oh, I wonder who this bad guy is. I just took him as a bad guy.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the Snoke reveal is a lot different. I'm still of the side that he's nobody. He's not going to be like revealed to be a character we know, because I think that's stupid. So obviously revealing him to be a new species, or like some ancient Sith, you know what I mean? Like something along those lines is a lot different to like, oh, I'm your father or something.
Do you reckon they could get away with not saying who he is at all, just having him as a bad guy? The leader
I'd love
of the
that. Just
bad
reveal
guys?
who he is in like 10 years' time.
Yeah.
Fuck it. I don't know if they have the
it's not integral to
kahunas.
the whole overall plot, at least from what I can ascertain at the moment.
No, I
Other
suppose
than
not.
he
Well,
is a bad
to a
It
degree,
kind of
because
is. I think it kind
Leia
of
knows
is.
who Snoke is and stuff like that, so they've got history. So
Okay.
automatically, people want to know who he is and why Leia knows who he is, because she mentions to Han in The Force Awakens, like, "Oh, it's Snoke. He did out to us." It's not like a mystery who this guy is that did this.
They do a
They
big kick
talk
in the
about
face
Snoke.
and go, oh, Snoke is, and then she dies.
Snoke is my creepy neighbor that used to live next door to us, that I used to invite young Ben around all the time.
Snoke is
that-
that guy from Shepparton.
Wow. Wow.
Did any of you have problems with The Force Awakens? Like, where did you side on that when everyone was going absolutely crazy and acting like that movie was the worst thing ever? Like, it's too close to New Hope. Like, it's the worst fucking, like, they couldn't do something original, blah, blah, blah.
What other people say about it did not take away the way I felt first watching that and the way I feel about watching that. People are free to their opinions, but it does not influence how I feel about it.
I guess my initial opinions of it were, I immediately was kind of like, oh, that was just New Hope again. Like, that was my instant reaction. And then after having the debrief period and then going to see it for a second time, I realized I didn't care that it followed a lot of the story beats, that it was fantastic the way it was, and that I really enjoyed it still.
Yeah.
And
I saw it 4 times at the movies before I even read anything about that, and I think I was just so in the moment experiencing it, I wasn't thinking critically about it either. Like, I didn't go, oh, this is the same as that, this is the same as that, so...
The first time I ever thought about it being similar to New Hope was after reading someone online complain about it, and I was like, oh, I guess it is a little bit, but it's not. Everyone was acting like it was a direct carbon copy, and I was like, no, I guess it is a little bit, but to me, from the get-go and still to this day, I'm like, it's not at all like A New Hope to me at all. None of the characters are the same, lots of the different situations, apart from the fact of, like, Rey starts on a deserted planet and ends up helping to destroy a Death Star-like object. Other than that, the movie's nothing like A New Hope to me at all for beat to beat minute. It's just a couple particular plot points that are similar, and the overall feel of the movie, I think, is the thing people say is too similar to New Hope, like just the general feel of it. But that was done on purpose to help bring back the Star Wars fans that hated the prequels. So it's like, we're going to lull you into our new trilogy by making you, like, feel like this is the original movie. These are the movies you loved. Like, remember when you complained that the prequels were too different? Here's one that feels a lot like the ones you didn't hate. And then everyone's like, nah, like, didn't like the ones that were really different, the prequels. And you know, fuck this one because it's too much the same too.
The problem is that you cannot please the Star Wars fan base.
You can please me. I'm Star Wars fan base.
The majority of the Star Wars fan base.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm not worried about Last Jedi being too similar to Empire either. On that note, I've never once thought about it. I feel like there's going to be a couple moments in it that'll be very similar or similar sounding or whatever, and they're just going to do that because the people making these movies are the fans of Star Wars. So if I was directing a Star Wars movie and I was doing the second one, a new trilogy, I'd chuck in a couple moments that seem like Empire, just because I'm a fan, and that's probably what's going to happen with this one, and that's perfectly fine to me.
Also,
right.
It would be called First Order Strikes Back if it was going to be similar.
Yeah, it's got Jedi in the title.
Yeah, it's got Jedi in the title. It's too much like Episode 6. We're going to see Episode 6 again, guys.
Yeah. Episode 6 will be like Episode 5.
Yeah.
They've done a switcheroo.
Yeah. You got us. You got us.
Got him.
Let's talk about Yoda, because every time the only moment in this movie that makes me actually laugh out loud is like when Yoda starts showing up, and Luke's acting like he just met the biggest pest in the fucking world. He's just like chucking stuff around. Luke's like, "Can you not touch that?" Like, "Oh, well, can we just put that down?" I was watching it today, and I was just like, I actually just started laughing out loud because it is so ridiculous, Yoda in this movie. Just the voice acting, the way the puppet's handled, like, it's great.
It's just the fact that, especially knowing who Yoda is before you start watching, knowing and watching him, like if you watch, say, an episode of Clone Wars where he was like super like pivotal, super serious, super pivotal, and then they show you that scene from Empire, it's like he has lost his goddamn mind. Like what has gone on here? Like it's just, it was, god damn it.
It's so great. And the other thing is, remember that YouTube video that came out like 6 months or so ago where someone made that song?
I did.
Was called?
Yep.
Yeah, I hadn't watched Empire since that came out, and now watching this scene, I'm just
Which
like...
Which song is that?
I can't remember the name of the video. Someone like songified Yoda from episode 5. And it's like, gotta do.
I think you're talking about the Weird Al song, Yoda.
No, this is a great one. It's fantastic. If you haven't watched it, you should just Google like Yoda song.
He's the original puppet for Yoda was horrible. Was terrible.
I loved it.
It was so bad.
It works well though, because he's kind of already like a drunk crack addict or something like that. And he looks like one. It just works so well.
Question. I don't know if while we're around Yoda, is the tree that Luke goes into, is that a Force tree?
I have no idea.
You have no idea? Okay.
I did write down a note about that.
I think Luke just got high off the fucking swamp gas.
No. I did write down, so I wrote down, I wish we got more mystical areas like where Luke ventures in to see his head inside Vader's thing. That side of the Force is explored way more in the extended universe material, but the films, the most we ever get is like this and Rey's vision. That's like the most magical side of the Force we get. The Force goes way more mystical, magical, weird. There's in the Clone Wars, you get characters that are basically witches using the Force to like create stuff and all sorts of crazy nonsense like that. And in Rebels, we've had this, in the last season, we've had this giant being that's like part of the Force, and he like is voiced by Tom Baker, and it's really great. And so in the extended universe material, they've always been exploring, and they still are in current canon, the more magical, crazy side. But this is the only moment we get like that. There's never a moment like this in episode 4 or 6 where there's crazy stuff like this. And then Rey has that vision in episode 7, of course. I think that's the only 2 moments. And I wish we got more of it, because I feel like people forget these moments and they think of the Force as simply this ability to like levitate objects or something like that. And that's all it is, when it's supposed to be way more than that.
Yeah.
So the other thing I wrote down was it's funny. Another moment that just makes me laugh, knowing what we know now, is when the Emperor's talking to Vader and Vader's like, we should try and bring Luke in, make him on the team, bro. That's a really great idea. And the Emperor's like, yeah, bring him in. However, knowing the rule of 2, it's basically like the Emperor being like, yeah, bring Luke in, and if he proves more powerful than you, Vader, I'll have him kill you, and he can be my new pupil.
And like Vader's like the dad that's just like, I need to babysit my kid, so can we have like bring your son to work day today, please?
Didn't Sidious himself just destroy the rule 2 anyway? Because he had him, then he had...
Sidious didn't follow that shit.
No, he didn't.
No, but Sidious was always killing his own apprentices to kind of stay with him in the end, though. Eventually, it would end up in 2 for a little bit, and then he'd fuck it up.
Sith aren't very good at following their own rules.
Same as Jedi. Did you know?
Yeah.
If somebody tells you not to do something, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Fuck you, I do what I want.
Exactly.
Palpatine followed the rule. He never had more than 2. And he wanted, when he found out Maul was alive, he wanted to wipe Maul off the planet, because he's like, well, that was one of my exes still alive.
Didn't he have Maul and...
No, he had
Count
Maul.
Dooku at the same time?
No.
Maul dies, and then 18 years is between episode 1 and 2, and during that time he gets Dooku.
Because Dooku's doing stuff for the Jedi Order during Phantom Menace.
Yeah, Dooku is still Dooku's still a Jedi in Phantom Menace. So, and then in spoilers for Clone Wars, I guess, but slight spoiler, when Dooku when Sidious finds out Dooku has an apprentice, Ventress, he's then like, you have to kill her, or else I'll kill you. Like, my apprentice can't have an apprentice. That's ridiculousness. This is the whole thing. So
what about
Sidious
Starkiller?
That is not canon at all. We don't talk about that.
Starkiller, but he was like Darth Vader's like.
Yeah, that was Darth Vader.
Darth Vader's apprentice was a Starkiller.
Didn't Darth Vader was like hiding Starkiller, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe in that story. Yeah. All right. Another note I wrote down was I never appreciate, and I think Ciaran in one of the episodes talked about how much the ship designs are cool and stuff like that. Watching this, I was like, I never appreciated the ship designs as a kid.
I love the ship.
I love the capital ships.
Watching it, whenever I watch these movies now, I'm just like, Star Wars has the best designed ships, and I love them, and that's why those the books that show you like the insides and designs of all the ships and stuff like that, the cross sections are so amazing. Like watching this, I'm just like, I never as a kid once thought when Vader's ship, the Executor, shows up for the first time, and they have that whole moment where they show like a normal Imperial ship that we saw in New Hope, and there's Shadow, and it shows out, and it's like, holy shit, that is a way bigger one. Because at first it's like the Shadow, oh shit, is there another Death Star? Because that's the shot we got in the New Hope, and then it comes out and it just shows like a really big ship, which is Vader's ship, the Executor, and it's like that thing is designed so cool, like the colors on it, like how it's got different colors in where the blaster part, the accelerator, I don't know what you want to call them, but it's like the designs and everything like that. And then whenever we see any of the Alliance ships, the the different shapes and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff like that. And then how in the books they'll always be like, this is because that ship's from like a different planet. And it's
Yeah.
like the color, this ship, like it's just watching it. I'm like, fuck, I never, as a kid, it was just like ships, cool. They look, I was never once like, oh, I want to know the history.
In regards to that, watching it today was the first time that I've ever watched Star Wars that I've noticed that they were models.
Oh, really? Because you
really?
notice that more now because you paint models? Or
No, it's just I remember the particular scene where it's the Millennium Falcon and the worm asteroid thing, and it was just like a shot of the outside of it. I could just tell that was a model, where every other time that I've watched it, I've never been out, like it's never clicked. I don't know, just somehow today, just that's a model. I can tell.
it still
now.
looks good though.
It still
like
looks
the
good.
thing
Like
that's worth
I'm not
it.
saying it looks bad. It's just the first time that it clicked to me that it was a model. Like it wasn't just magic of cinema.
I think for me,
had-
the worst one for me is Battle of Hoth. I think Hoth looks like it's figures. Hoth is really
Oh,
obviously figures.
they look like figures.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stop motion animation of like the walkers.
yeah,
like
it looks like that's the
it's-
one that's like, they're figures.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. Most of the stuff. I think the ships look way better than the Hoth stuff. That's for sure. As a side note, I just wrote down Vader chokes out fucking admirals in this movie like they're not going out of fashion anytime soon. Because I swear he like kills like 3 or 4 dudes by the time the movie's over. It's like, what? You didn't flush the toilet? You didn't wash it? Like, just fucking going crazy. They have him force choke one
My
person.
favourite
in
one
the
is
first
when
movie.
after the Millennium Falcon gets away and it just cuts to the shot of the admiral and he's just like, I'm fucked.
Yeah, he's like,
It doesn't show that him get choked out. But he just goes. The look in his face is like, I'm fucking dead here, and then just Vader
I'm
turns and
so
cuts
Which
away.
is how I love that about because they bring that back for Kylo Ren, where the people like where they go to report to him, and that dude's like so scared. Like that's just bringing over that same sort of shot from Empire, having the people look so scared, having to report to Vader. So it's like little details like that is great, especially since Kylo wishes he was fucking Vader.
I wish I was my granddad. You suck, Dad.
You don't like emo Kylo Ren? That's terrible. I think Han's greatest moment in any of the movies is before he goes into carbon freezing. It's like the most bravest he is, and just like serious. And then you get the "I love you, I know you do," which is another one of the most famous Star Wars lines. I reckon that's shirts, that's everything. That's couples get fucking tattoos, I suppose. That kind of line, like such a simple line. And when you look at episode 4, it's like he comes back in the Falcon at last second to save him, but wasn't like a hugely brave moment. In episode 6, he goes down to Endor to help and all sorts of stuff like that, and it's cool, but none of that's like super brave. But in this moment where he's about to go into a thing where he could die and stuff like that, it's like you get a true idea that deep underneath all of his scoundrel shenanigans, he is actually like a brave dude. Or
I like too how it's such a contrast from the beginning of the film where he's going to leave Hoth and leave all of them behind, and she's like, "Oh no, you can't go," and she couldn't admit that she loves him.
Yeah,
I just think
this whole
the carbonite stuff is the worst stuff of this movie. I don't know why.
Really?
It really frustrates me.
Why?
I don't know. I think it might even be the acting or some of the some of the writing for it, but except for the traditional, I love you, I know section, which is iconic. The rest of it, I think it's because it's too related to Boba Fett, and Boba Fett sucks.
Wrong.
Boba Fett
does
Your opinion's wrong.
He
Get off the show.
sucks.
He does suck.
He sucks
Boba Fett is
really
the
bad.
most overrated Star
He's
Wars
so
character in the history
terrible.
of Star Wars characters.
I won't hear a bad thing about this movie.
Boba Fett is really just pointless.
Also, I'm glad they changed his voice acting, by the way. I know people hate that because they like the original voice actor, and everyone's like, that guy got fucked because he's not known as the Boba Fett actor now. I'm like, well, whatever. It just helps the movies all flow together better when you have the Kiwi.
Now he's saying, make me some eggs.
Yeah. Oh, God. Please help me. Alright, so let's talk about the Luke vs. Vader fight, which I think is the best lightsaber fight in the trilogy, and it's definitely way better than the episode 6 fight in the room of Palpatine for a lot of reasons. The choreography's better, the camera work, like it's
even the design, the colors and
that's what I wrote
yeah.
down the designs, like how there's the orange contrasting the blue and red sabers because orange is like a middle ground between the colors and everything like that. Like the scenes, it's just put together so well, and how it's not super fast and it builds up and they cuts away and they have them move through to the corridor and like all sorts of. And it's never this huge epic music playing. Like the fight's all just silence. It's just lightsabers like dun dun hitting and then bits of dialogue. They never have to intrude with John Williams' score at all here. And I don't know if that was his choice or the director's choice. It could be a mix of both, but it's like a choice that pays off so well.
Isn't it ultimately the director's choice anyway?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, unless the director trusts the composer, and I reckon a lot of people might trust someone like John Williams to have an opinion of where music might be more necessary. John Williams could be like, I think music would work a lot better in a scene.
Yeah, he's done it once or twice.
Yeah, it could be someone to be like, yeah, okay, I'll trust you to put music here. So
yeah,
but yeah, no, it's just this fantastic scene.
And Vader is just such a badass.
And just like you can, even just through the choreography, you can tell that Vader is toying with him. Like Vader's not really.
Yeah, well, that's an important thing. He's not trying to kill him.
He's not trying, and it speaks to like it really drives home that message that Luke fucked up. That Luke is like cannot play with the big boys. He cannot,
overconfident.
Yeah, he's overconfident. He is not even in the same like division as what Darth Vader is at that point in time.
You just sit here, Yoda, going, "Told you, bro."
Yeah, told you, bros. Should have stayed here and smoked some dories.
Oh my god, we've ruined this movie forever. I wrote down as my last note, ending of Empire is so fucked. There is no hope. Luke loses an arm. He's fucked. Han's fucked. Vader's revealed to be Luke's dad. That's fucked. What the fuck is going on?
Lando
Rebels
got the
lost
Falcon back.
base. Jesus, the Falcon's gone to someone we don't even know and like. The fuck is going on? It's really especially after you watch it the week after A New Hope, or you watch these movies so closely. It's New Hope's like medals, happy smiles, look, we're great, and this one's just looking out into bleak nothingness of what are we gonna do? This is disastrous. Everything sucks. What are we gonna do? And not even before that, it's like even on Dagobah, Ben's shitty at Luke, Yoda's shitty at Luke. Everyone in this movie is angry. It's not good.
I think it sets up Return perfectly. It sets up Return and like the grandness of that movie really well. For the times of, this is storytelling 101. You've got to, take your characters to a terrible place once at least before they can learn to get better. Storytellers. This is where it's at.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people consider this to be, just written perfectly, which but I mean, you can't really argue against anything, I suppose. Anyone have any moments they want to shout out in this movie or anything like that, especially as it's your two favorite one? Nick, any?
C-3PO getting torn up. That was pretty satisfying.
Satisfying. Oh my god.
Also for me, the image of like 50 stormtroopers like jammed into this small room being like, we got him, boys. Shut up, stay quiet. Like, it's like a surprise party gone wrong. Like with just these stormtroopers and like Darth Vader's like crammed into the middle of them, just being like, I will choke the next person that farts.
Which he probably did because he force chokes everyone in this damn movie.
What? You did a good job? Force choke.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. Empire's great. Everyone should watch it. You probably watched it if you're listening to this. Let's give some Battlefront II opinions, thoughts, stuff like that. We're just talking about the campaign here. We're not talking about the multiplayer and stuff like that. And if you're listening to this and you don't listen to any of our other podcasts for some reason, you should go over and listen to Platinum Explosion this week, where we talked about the whole game for probably nearly half an hour.
Good news, I fit Alderaan into my schedule if you listen to that.
But if you're only listening to this and you're not a huge gamer, maybe you're just a bit of a Star Wars fan, you play a game, you play the Battlefront games maybe back in the day, but you're not a huge gamer, and you're wondering if you should pick up this game just to play for the story aspect, Nick, you're the only person here who has finished the campaign. If someone is a huge Star Wars fan, but not a big gamer, is it worth picking up Battlefront 2 for the story aspect?
Yes, but get it on sale. Don't buy it full price.
That's better than a no, I guess.
No, I say buy
Well,
it full price.
As me, like you, a huge Star Wars fan, you can't not consume it.
Yeah, that's true.
So do it logically and buy it on sale.
No, don't do it logically. Don't.
Why should they? They should just buy it now, rush out, buy it now to play for the story?
Just buy it now. Do you want more Star Wars content? Do you want more Star Wars
Because there's
games?
such a shortage of that.
No, but they could. Like, this is the first time. Like, last year they did it without a campaign. If they go through the effort of putting in a campaign and people don't buy the game this year, then, you know, it's not. What
They're
kind
making Star Wars games regardless.
No, but, like,
This
it's
is not
still-
going to affect anything.
You still have to do something. Like, they've put. You can tell by the character they chose and the story they've told. They've put some effort into this campaign. It might not be the best campaign, but. You gotta, like, you can't complain one year about there not being a campaign, and then the next year when they put a campaign in, go, nah, I'm gonna wait for it to be on sale. It's like,
I didn't complain though.
no, but there were, if as a Star Wars community, the world complained. It was like, we want a Star Wars campaign. They give you one, don't wait until it's on sale, go support a game you actually want to play. Like, give them a reason to definitely put more effort into their Star Wars games. They could continue to, not to make this a gaming podcast, but they could continue to slap a skin on Battlefield and people will buy it because it's a Star Wars game.
I think it would have been better effort to make the multiplayer better and then keep single-player Star Wars games as single-player Star Wars games.
But the community would have been outraged.
The community's outraged regardless.
Not really.
It's true.
Yeah.
No, I think there's not been as much outrage about the single player campaign. I think it's all multiplayer, the main outrage.
I think if you're not a huge gamer or something like that, and you're just looking at this from purely the single player aspect, I don't think you need to rush out and buy this. Most of the story aspects that I can see coming up, that I've experienced so far, are things that you have either experienced in the movies, or if you're up to date on all your extended universe books, there's stuff you've already experienced by reading the books or the comics, and you're just having another character go for these motions. If experiencing those events that you've already read about, stuff like that, from an actually playing them sounds like fun, then sure, go pick it up. However, it is approaching Christmas time. Ask Santa for it, I guess. I don't think you need to rush out to play it tomorrow. It's not the most exciting Star Wars single player story that you need to be up to date now. If you're like, Dylan, I want to read some canon Star Wars stuff, or I want to play the Star Wars Battlefront story, what canon material should I be divulging into my body leading up to The Last Jedi at the moment? I would say go read any of the Journey to the Last Jedi books that are out at the moment. You got the Phasma one, you got the Leia one. If you want to take in material, you should be reading those over playing this game, because those books are going to give you way better stories than this game's giving you. So, but if you've read all those, you want to play something. Yeah, so it's up to you. All right. Last thing I want to talk about is there was a Last Jedi spot that dropped, and I wouldn't usually talk about old Last Jedi spots, because most of the time TV spots are just a mixture of material we've already seen, trailers, maybe like one random new shot or something like that, and they're not usually that interesting. This was like a 44-second TV spot, and there is actually enough in it to be worth talking about, obviously, because I want to talk about it. It opens with shots of Luke's island. We're on the island, and we hear him say, "You've seen this place," and then you hear Rey respond, "Only in dreams," which I suppose is a callback to her vision that she got in The Force Awakens, where she does see the Luke putting his arm on R2 and stuff like that, and the Knights of Ren being there. So she has technically seen this place, because that's all on there. So she's correct, and it just reminded me, because sometimes I forget stuff about Last Jedi that I'm excited about, and I'm like, oh fuck, I hope we do get more of those visions, and I hope that her visions become a big part of her character. Like, that's one of her traits. Like, she's just very strong in precognition or something along those lines, because that is, different Jedi can have abilities like that. So I think that's probably where they're going to lead in that direction, where that is going to become something that she's strong in, I guess.
How just as a quick question, how is Leia not as force sensitive as Luke?
She never trains.
She never trains? Is that the issue? It's just she never trains?
No, it's a twin situation where Luke got all the good genes and Leia just got all the
well,
the hammy
can't they
genes.
just go to like just genes or something and get a decent pair of genes? It's not too hard. They have like
She is. There's a cool moment in the Shattered Empire comic that I quite like a lot, where she walks into Naboo's palace and then she starts like feeling stuff, and then it shows like flickers of Maul and her mum and stuff there, and like, so she is strong enough in the Force. However, you can be Force sensitive no matter how Force sensitive you are. You're only ever going to experience little moments like that unless you put it to training. Like, if they never took Anakin off the planet, maybe the best he ever did was just be able to race pod races really well. Like, he never would have suddenly got all his abilities without the training.
But
so,
what he was doing wasn't pod racing.
Oh my god.
Do you reckon the midichlorians put money on Anakin to win?
Nope, because they're not.
They're not a
midichlorians
race
work at all.
They're not a race of people. It's blood cells.
They're a race of biological little bacteria.
So could Leia have been as strong as Luke? Maybe, but we'll never know because she never did the training. And I don't. I think they say in one of the books like she never wanted to. But I think it was maybe in Bloodline they mentioned a line about it where Luke was like, "Do you want to train?" And she was like, "No, I'm good. Like, I just want to stick to my politics, and that's what I want to do."
That's like me. It's like, do you want to train? And go, no, I want to stick to eating junk food and not doing anything.
I prefer cars.
There's another line in the trailer where Luke, we hear Luke say, "Who are you?" And he's like, in one of the shots, which is because of course it's the audience is also wondering the same question, so it's a nice little moment because straight after that it cuts to the Lucasfilm logo.
Fun fact, that confirms that Luke is a fan of The Who.
You're just got the fucking worst jokes today. It is unbearable.
I'm overtired.
We and in a follow up to that shot, we see in the normal trailer where Luke's behind Rey and she's kind of meditating on that rock and stuff like that. We also get to hear Luke ask what does she see, and Rey responds with light, and then we see a shot of Leia on Crate, and then she says, and then darkness, and it cuts to a shot of Luke crawling out of the wreckage of the temple, which I found interesting because it doesn't cut from a shot of Leia to a shot of Kylo or something as the dark side. And I'm like, is that implying maybe Luke? Maybe the Jedi Temple, we're always assuming the Jedi Temple goes down because it's Kylo just comes in, but maybe Luke does something wrong for that to happen. Maybe, I don't know. So, then we get a shot of Rey saying to Luke, "Kylo failed you, I won't," which means that they're going to talk about Kylo. At some stage she must find out that he trained Kylo, because that's not information she has at the end of The Force Awakens or anything like that. That's something she need to figure out, I guess. And then the biggest shot, I think, of the whole thing is in the normal trailer. We've always had that shot of Rey lighting up her saber, but we've never seen where it is. It looks in the same scene where Kylo's putting out his hand to her and stuff like that, but it looks like it could be in the same area. There's also that shot of where Luke's lying on the ground saying it's not going to go the way you think it is or whatever. This all looks like it's in the same area. In this trailer, we get a shot from behind Rey as she's climbing out of a pool of water, and Luke's standing there facing her. And then after that, it cuts to the shot of her lighting up her saber as if she's lighting up the saber facing towards Luke, which I still find interesting because they did this with Rogue One, where they kept ending Rogue One on those shots of Jyn, where it's like, what will you become? And then
she's in the
TIE fighter uniform and stuff like that. And they kept trying to imply that maybe Jyn would go bad or turn to the other side. So I think they're doing the exact same type of teasing with these Last Jedi trailers a lot lately, where they're ending it on shots of Rey lighting up the saber towards someone we don't know. And
how much,
The Last Jedi,
like Rogue One, how many of these shots do you reckon we're not going to see in the actual movie?
A lot of
them. A lot of them? Yeah. I think that's
also, to be fair, it wasn't just Rogue One. Rogue One, they did reshoots and they changed the story at some point. That is like a known fact. that happened. But I can't complain about it because as far as I'm concerned, Rogue One's a great movie. I already said it's top 3 Star Wars movies to me. So I can't complain about reshoots. Sometimes reshoots work out for the better, and most Marvel movies go through reshoots. No one complains because people just complain when DC movies go through reshoots because it's like the internet just likes to pick and choose what they like to complain about. The Force Awakens also had a heap of shots missing, but the film never went through as far as we knew at the time. No one ever heard about The Force Awakens going through reshoots. So when the movie came out and a lot of the shots in the trailers weren't actually in the movie, no one ever complained about it. One of the best shots from the Star Wars trailer, The Force Awakens, and it's on the front cover of the art book, never made it into the movie. And it is that shot from the original teaser where the camera's behind Kylo, he stumbles forward, and then he puts his hand out and lights up his saber. And that shot was never in the movie. It's such a fucking fantastic shot that was never used. It's on the front cover of the Force Awakens art book. It's fantastic. However, it was never in it. So they did that, and I appreciate it. And I think a lot more movies, Marvel movies, have been doing the same thing too, where they shoot a whole bunch of cool stuff and they're purposely picking to use different shots in trailers. And the thing people complain a lot about these days is, trailers spoil the whole movie, or you see everything and stuff like that. You're not, if the shots in the trailers aren't the shots you're going to get in the movie, which I appreciate. Even if it's in the same scene and you get an idea of the scene, but you're not getting the exact same line of dialogue. Like, even in Rogue One, the scene where Jin's there and she's like, first talking to Mon Mothma, all that dialogue is completely different from the trailer than what we actually got in the movie. So even though I'd seen the scene in the trailer, I was experiencing something new, which I quite appreciated. All right, that is your Last Jedi roundup news to end to this week's episode of Alderaan Explosion. We will be back next week to talk about Return the Jedi. And if we're talking about Return the Jedi, that's exciting because that is the last movie of the original trilogy, which means a week after that we'll be talking about The Force Awakens. And that means a week after that, Last Jedi's out. It is currently the 20th of November as we're recording this. We're getting very close to Last Jedi, and I'm getting more and more excited as we head in.
We're doing a 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning podcast, right? That's a thing we're doing, right?
I fully hope to at least try to do something.
We'll do that, right? Because I booked my tickets for the midnight screening today. I booked them today. So
everyone should have their tickets. All right, Ciaran, where can people follow you?
People can follow me at your boy Ringo on Twitter, or if you like watching somebody who's average at games, play video games, check it out, twitch.tv/Explosion Network.
Good job. Nick,
you can find me at the Imperial PR department at don't@explosionnetwork.com.
Jesus Christ. You can follow me on Twitter, Vivaladil, Vivaladil. You can follow the show on Twitter at ExplosionPod. You can head to explosionnetwork.com, where you can find the rest of the podcast episodes for this and the other shows we've mentioned. And by other shows, I mean we only mentioned Platinum Explosion, but there are other shows to watch and talk about, and videos, and you can find like reactions to Last Jedi trailers and stuff like that, movie reviews, all sorts of greatness. And you should make sure you rate this show, subscribe, and actually share this one with your friends. Then make sure you go to our Twitter and our Facebook, because currently there is a competition running where you can win a copy of I fucking mental blank on the thing because we've done a whole bunch of talking, but you can win a Star Wars book.
Something about a view or something like that.
From a certain point of view. Thank you very much.
God damn it.
For helping me along there. You can win a copy of From a Certain Point of View. All you have to do is share the post, like the post, that sort of shenanigans. Nothing too demanding of you. There's no need for essays to be written or anything crazy like that.
And you get to look at Liam Neeson's silhouette.
You get to look at Liam Neeson's silhouette, because spoiler, Liam Neeson's character Qui-Gon Jinn turns up in that book, and the book's set during the period of New Hope. How does that happen? Don't know. You can win it, and then you can find out. You can read. It's great.
Because you're just like Ben Kenobi. You're an idiot.
Thank you for joining me, everyone. May the Force be with you.
And also with you.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Oh fucking God. You don't just spam in response like sayings and
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your boy Cruzy Mate here with all you need to know about November here at the Explosion Network. Firstly, we would like to extend a big thank you to everyone who donated to our Extra Life campaign to help the big, beautiful kids. You can check out all our challenge videos going up on YouTube over the month of November. While you're over there, check out all our PAX coverage, the Explosion Network's first convention. We have a bunch of videos going up on all the games we played over at bit.ly/Explosion Network. Also, our Best of 2017 awards start in late November, so get pumped for that with more information to come soon. And don't forget, Alderaan Explosion continues every Friday at 12 PM if you want your weekly dose of Star Wars hype leading up to The Last Jedi. And you know, all our weekly shows will continue. Pleasure on Mondays, Plat on Tuesdays, and Grandstand Gurus goes live on Thursdays, all at 12 PM. And finally, we will be returning to full form over on twitch.tv/Explosion Network with all our weekly streams. So keep your targets locked on explosionnetwork.com for all of the explosive content.